This quirky medieval manga is the cutest Japanese history lesson ever having to do with the Rat Lord. At first glance, it looks like a piece of historical whimsy, a sequential pictorial account of rats scurrying about in preparation for a wedding feast, linked sometime between 1550 and 1650 AD during Muromachi Azuchi Momoyama, or Edo, Japan. The anonymous picture scroll titled Nezumi no Soshi Emaki, The Illustrated Rat's Tale, is more than an interesting bit of art history. While early Japanese picture scrolls are considered by some to be the precursor of the manga art form that blossomed and boomed in the 20th century, this particular illustrated fantasy contains valuable information about how food was prepared in medieval Japan. There were quite a few stories written in medieval and early modern Japan about rats, and many of these became picture scrolls combining illustrations with texts, says University of Kansas historian Eric Rath. But what sets this example apart are the detailed scenes of cooking. There is only one other picture scroll that depicts cooking scenes for this period. So as a food historian, I want to see what I could learn from this rat history, he says. In Japanese traditions, rats occupy a place of honor. Far from the symbol of filth and pestilence they represent in Western tradition, the rodents were admired for their cleverness and industriousness and were seen as a symbol of wealth and good fortune. According to folklore, they also could take human form and sometimes had some pretty wild adventures. The illustrated rat's tale, a rat overlord wishes to make a human bride. However, she doesn't know he's a rat, so he and his retinue must perform a sort of masquerade. They're parading his human lord and his household as they throw a wedding feast fit for a shogun. And now kept in the New York Public Library Spencer collection, the scroll offers a fascinating look at Japanese political and social climates of the time. But the scene in which the feast is prepared also goes into exquisite cultural detail, Rath found. The way the artists depict rats preparing for a banquet offers insight into the division of labor and workflow of kitchens in elite households in the 16th century, an age with very few other visual sources, he says. We learned that specially trained male rat chefs handled prestigious tasks like carving meats, and female workers performed manual labor such as milling the rice outside. The rats all have roles and names and wear clothing that indicates social status. Those of lower status wear simple robes and sashes, while higher status rats wear more elaborate clothing such as kosode and a ceremonial dress for the elite male rats called kamishimo. They imbibe sake and have different manners of speaking, bantering back and forth about the difficulties of their jobs. For instance, a rat carving a swan complains about the toughness of the bones therein. Actual historical figures make appearances such as celebrated tea master Senmo Rikyu, who is also depicted as a rat in the scroll. Some of the rats have names that indicate greed and consumption. Tobei, the bean lover, Bad Taro, the glutton, and Kuranajo, the rice chewer. And what's interesting about the story, however, is that it reposits the animals as preparers of food. Rath says, rather than just consumers of it. Now, recasting the high-status human household as a pack of rats would have given a glimpse of their lives of the wealthy that few otherwise might have been privy to. For a contemporary audience, the society of the human elite was probably as rarefied as inaccessible, and therefore is interesting as a storybook land in which rats cooked, Rath writes. In other words, by showing how rats prepared food, the creators of The Rat's Tale offered a perspective and subtle commentary on elite human society without having to fear the retribution of human overlords. In the end, alas for the rats, the ruse is discovered, several rats fail to maintain their human facade, and the bride discovers their deception. The paper has been published in Gastronomica, the Journal of Food and Culture, and this is by Michelle Starr on Science Alert. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.